have a sense for how hard it has been. This is the Bills' second time to get this round into the stretch that you've been here. They've been a very, very, very good team. Do you have a sense of just how hard it is to keep doing what you're doing against this group of teams that are all very good over these years?
No, I have a lot of respect for the teams that we've had a chance to play. So we've been fortunate to be able to get to this level, small margin between winning and losing in the National Football League. So again, we're fortunate to be here, although a lot of hard work's gone into it from all our guys. Yeah.
Coach, last game against the Bills, Patrick didn't have any rushes. I know he had one that was called back because of the penalty, but that's obviously part of his game and, something he does real well in buying you guys an extra set of downs. They have a special plan, something that was unique. Is that one of those tip your caps to them? They had a good plan, and do you expect them to go back to that to start this time?
Yeah, well, they've been running the ball very well. They've got two good running backs, and they've got a quarterback that can run. So they ran it, I want to say, 35 times last week. So I'm sure they're gonna continue to utilize that. They've been doing that this year, and then at the same time, he can throw the ball too, and he throws it well. So as far as our game plan goes, we're gonna play what we do and go with it. And sometimes Pat takes off and runs. Sometimes he doesn't need to.
I was actually talking about Patrick running.
Yeah.
How they took away how he didn't have any rushes.
Yeah.
And that they were able to take that away, that part of his game away from you. I mean, is that something unique that they did last time compared to what they've done in other games?
Yeah, they spied him last time. Yeah, they did a good job with that. Although we didn't have runs called at that time, we just had throws. And so I thought you were comparing the two. They've got called runs for their quarterback, and that's not what we have. Yeah.
Coach, Buffalo's really good at forcing turnovers. What makes them so good at taking the ball from the offense?
Who was it? Did you mention?
Buffalo.
Yeah, they're one of the best in the league, if not the best. So their turnover ratio is right at the top. So they do a good job of whether it's stripping the ball and or intercepting the ball. The guys have got good skill on the back end, along with the linebackers. So yeah, they've got a good scheme that puts them, gives them an opportunity to be able to do that.
Well, the last two, Todd and then Coach, you guys had 8 sacks last week on defense. The Bills have done a nice job of protecting Allen. I know he's tough to tackle, but what are the keys to getting to him and getting him on the ground? Because it seems to be a difficult task for most.
Yeah, no, he's tough to get down. I tell you what I probably tell you every week is you got to stay disciplined and stay in your lanes, and then you go from there. Yeah. But once you have a hold of him, you better know he's tough to bring down, so you better finish it. Yeah.
Coach, I know we talked about this a little bit on Monday about how Houston was able to finish the first half and then start the second half and really keep you on the side. That's become, at least in the talking points of have teams gotten better at that? Is that something that you back when you were with the Packers, maybe it wasn't talked about as much, and now it's a real point of emphasis to try to, defer and control that time in the middle? Has it changed?
You know what? I don't know. I know what it is over the last 10 years or so. So it's been very consistent. If you're going to take me back 25 years, I might not have that stat for you, but I know teams are fairly consistent with that, with deferring, and then having that opportunity to work to drive that second half and get the ball.
Is it part of the game calling of trying to not just score? I mean, you've always said scoring is the most important thing, right? Obviously.
Yeah. Well,
burning the clock at the end.
You hope you finish with the ball, and then you hope you get to start it and get you an extra series in there. However, there's no. It's about 50-50 right there on the good and bad of it. So it's not a huge thing if you don't get it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, good.
Patrick, just we were just talking with Coach about, the end of half, the whole deferral, getting the ball. And I know Houston really kept you guys sitting there for like about an hour of real time. What do you do to try to stay sharp and stay in the game when a situation like that happens?
For me, it's just you stay calm and you just kind of keep yourself warm. I think it affected me my first AFC Championship game with we played the Patriots. It's like the first drive they had one of those super long drives, and you get on the field and you want to score 2 touchdowns with 1 play, but all you can do is just go about your process, stay warm, stay patient, and when you get on the field, just maximize the opportunity.
Where we get you on Thursdays, just as they started the week, how would you estimate the team and things are going in practice and the vibe of the energy right now?
Yeah, I think guys are ready to go. We had a good day of practice yesterday, and you get the base install in. Guys get a feel for the game plan. You go out there and execute fast, and you have 3rd down today. So it's just about getting everybody in the right positions to succeed and going out there and playing fast. And I don't think anyone's making this too big of a moment. Everybody knows how big it is, but at the same time, we go about our process.
Patrick, this is probably one of the few times you come into the championship game without any injury, so to speak. Do you find yourself, if push comes to shove, without you having to think about it, that you may take some chances, run if you need to, or just as it just comes along?
Yeah, I think you just play to win. I mean, there'll be opportunities to run the football. They do a good job of spying the quarterback in certain situations. So you want to be able to use your feet, but at the same time work within the pocket, find guys down the field. But it's the AFC Championship game. You got to put it all on the line in order to win and try to get to the Super Bowl. And this is a great football team we're going up against. So I think all of us are going to go out there and give everything we have.
Patrick, I think everybody understands the importance of ball security, but can you talk about just how you guys talk about it internally and how you prepare so that it doesn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at just the NFL in general, I think it's every team that's won the ball security, won the turnover battle, has won the football game in the playoffs so far this year, and that's super important for us. Buffalo does a great job of it. I don't think they've lost one the entire season. So just trying to protect the football. When defense gets opportunities, try to take the football away, and then just let the game come to you. Don't press and don't try to do too much. So it's extremely important, especially in the playoffs and especially when you go up against some of the best teams.
Related to that, Josh was asked about this yesterday, but there was a play in that Ravens game. Just wanted your reaction to it. It looked like he was going to pitch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
As you're watching the game, what do you think as a quarterback when you see like these almost
I mean, I think I saw it just as he saw it. So it was probably the smart decision not to pitch it in that moment. But you don't want to take that creativity away from guys, and that's why we never said anything to Travis. Well, you do it and it works. It works and it's a good thing. But if it's not there, don't do it.
Patrick, you've never had to wait, more than 1 year to get back to the AFC Championship game. Can you have an appreciation for, Josh and the Bills haven't been in this game since 2020. How long and keep rolling the ball up the hill and having to come back down. I know you guys are very fortunate to get to where you've done. These other teams in the AFC, there's a lot of really good teams, and they don't get to do this every year. Do you have a sympathy, appreciation for whatever you guys are trying to do?
No, I have extreme appreciation just for the process of getting here. I talk about that with some of the younger guys. I mean, some of these guys all they've known is Super Bowls, and I mean, obviously that's a good problem to have. But I make sure that they know and appreciate this moment and having this opportunity, because it doesn't happen every year. I mean, it seems like it's happened every year here, but you don't get this opportunity to play in these games. You never know when's going to be your last one, and you have to go out there and maximize it. And you do have appreciation because even when you win a Super Bowl, you start back at the bottom. You start back level with everybody. And you have to go about your process and put in that work. And so it definitely is a battle every single year. Every season's different, and you just appreciate being in this game, and you just try to find a way to maximize it and try to get to that next one.
We'll go last 3, Darren, Pete, and Saran. Go, Darren.
Patrick, this is kind of a twofold, but on the first half, when you talked about the younger players knowing nothing about winning, but you've experienced both the downside of winning and losing at home. Have you won, kind of told them what it's like to lose in overtime, especially in the manner in which they did against the Patriots and the Bengals did not fall?
Yeah, no, it sucks losing. Just as much as it's awesome winning, it sucks losing. So, I mean, you just try to go out there and put your best foot forward. You try to do whatever you can to give everything you have on the football field, and then you live with the results. But at the same time, you prepare through the week. You sacrifice things. You sacrifice time away from family to go out there and just be the best player and best teammate that you can be, and then hope that turns out into a win.
And also, this will be the last time we talked to you before the game. So any message for Chiefs Kingdom and Arrowhead, because obviously when we were in Buffalo, you know, we saw how the crowd was involved and how loud it got for you on third down. It wasn't a sold house. It wasn't a sold out crowd Saturday against Houston. So, what message would you give the Chiefs Kingdom to help?
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs Kingdom is they're always passionate, they're always loud. I would just say, hey, let's even take it up a notch. Let's see how loud this place can really get. But I always appreciate the support and the love that they show for us, and so I'm just excited for another AFC Championship game back at Arrowhead.
Just considering your interaction with Josh, you mentioned watching him and obviously the golf and how grateful are you for having a relationship off the field with what's really considered to be amongst NFL circles like your biggest rival in a way?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good dude. I mean, I understand why his team plays so hard and how they leave everything on the line because they have a leader out over there that goes out there and does that every single week. And whenever you go up against the best, it brings the best out of you. And to go up against someone that you have a friendship with off the field as well, it's like just like a brother or anything else. When you compete, you're going to compete, but when you're off the field, you're going to joke around and have fun too. So I mean, it's a competition that both of us want to win, but to know it's another good dude on the other side of the field is always fun.
Last one, sir.
I know going into that Bills game, you guys were undefeated, and we talked a lot each week, and you were constantly saying, hey, our goal is to win the championship. Looking back on it, did losing that game, I mean, you guys have played obviously very well since. Were there lessons that were taught? Did the loss maybe, help you guys focus in and figure out make you a better team now?
Yeah, I always believe losing can be either a positive or a negative, and so obviously you lose a football game and that sucks, and you don't have the undefeated season. But you learn from those mistakes. You learn where you can get better, and you use that to make yourself a better football team and a better player. And so. Just learning from that game, going up against one of the best football teams in the NFL and losing, you find some of your weaknesses. You try to make those things better. And then I think the most positive, I didn't have to play Week 18, so that was probably the best for me.
Thank you, guys.
Dave Tobe, special teams coach.
Coach, was Saturday about as windy a game as you've seen there at Arrowhead?
It was a very windy day. I wouldn't say it was the most windiest at Arrowhead, but that was definitely a factor.
What do you feel like Butker's range would have been?
What did we have that day?
Going one way or the other?
Yeah, I think he was. We were 40-yard line on one side and 37 on the other. Yeah, and then it depends on what part of the game too. Like if at the end of right before the half, we might try to bang one even longer.
What's your advice for Justin Reid? I mean, he's getting pretty close to a penalty there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he studies a lot of tape. I mean, he's the main reason why we're getting these blocks. I mean, because he gets off such a great get off on the edge that it makes everybody respond to that, and it opens up gaps for Leo, who's like a couple spots down from him. And he studies tape. He watches the snappers, movements. It could be a squeeze into the hand. It could be a dip of the hips, whatever it is to indicate that the snap is imminent. He has a great get off. I mean, he was tied to the football just about in that game on two of them, and made a difference.
Does he have a green light to go for it?
No, not all the time. I mean, we have different snappers or different. We have a game plan. It's not every week. If we have somebody that's different that doesn't give us that, then we don't do it. We just dial in on the football and go on the ball.
Do you even vary it during the game? Maybe
Oh yeah, there's no question. It'll change during the game. It'll change situation. Game winner could change things. I mean, all those things are factors. And then Leo, you just tell Leo, this is the time. Okay, and he goes and gets it. He's a beast. He really is.
the non-move in a sense of Nicole was almost a vote of confidence in Nico, and almost has a return last week. I guess how close do you feel like he is to maybe?
He's doing a really good job. I mean, it's been 6 weeks now. He's been up, and every week we're getting more and more confident in him. Punt return and kick return. He's just been a pleasant to have him. Do so well. It's good to see it.
Coach, I know when Bucker first came back, he had some struggles. When
Yep.
he was making them, we kind of been spoiled that it's going to be right down the middle with him, and he was maybe just kind of scooting them in onto the inside.
When he first came back.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in, as you mentioned, really tough conditions, it looked like, you feel like he's
Yeah, he's a great manager of the wind. He understands, the wind and how much. And in his pregame warm up, he'll try different stuff and figure that out. And he kicks a lot of kicks pregame. And by the time he gets to the game, he's dialed in. Now sometimes the wind changes during the game. That's why you'll see him periodically walk out and on the field and check things. And he's always doing that. So total confidence in him, especially during the playoffs.
You think he's, physically
Yeah.
good enough to play, but also like lockback. It's probably, I'm sure, like a golfer, like you repetitions and all that, but that he's back to being.
Yeah, I think he just needed more kicks. He had that operation on his left leg, his plant leg. So that's the one where he gets his power from. He plants that leg, and that power comes out of that leg that's being driven into the ground. So I think over time, these weeks that since his surgery, I think he's back. The last couple of weeks in practice, he's been good, and then in the game was excellent.
Coach, just Bill, coverage, returns.
Yeah.
What are the next guy on the board?
Codrington was the guy that we faced in the last game. The last time we played, week 11. He's been out the last 2 weeks. He's been down, and they went to number 10. Who's probably the best receiver after the catch in the league. As a wide receiver, very dangerous. You see it against Denver where he made a whole bunch of people miss. As a punt returner, he's a good, solid catcher. Doesn't have a lot of reps in games, but very dangerous. So we think he might be even better than 29. But both of them are dangerous. They're really good in the return game. They don't make a lot of mistakes penalty-wise on special teams. They're pretty solid there. They don't beat themselves. Well coached. It's going to be a tough battle.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
It's not that quaint, cozy little area we had. Real quick, real proud of the way the guys played last week to get us to this point. Feel really blessed to be in this game, really honored to be in it. Thank God every day to be able to be working again this week. So with that, I'll open it up.
Extraordinary sequences, quarterback, particularly in the fourth quarter. How do you develop that knack? How did you develop that knack? Knowing when to come after, when not to? Is it all down, distance, score, time of the game? Or
Yeah, probably a little bit of more of a feel than anything else. Listen, I know the guys do enjoy that part of it, like they like to be aggressive. Every DB and every linebacker will tell you that they want to blitz. You can't do it every down. And, there may have been some in there earlier, if I go back, that didn't quite work the way we wanted. Fortunately for us in that part of the game, the guys executed it exactly the way we had practiced it, and they ended up being positive plays for us.
when you call it a feel, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, when I say feel, so the things that go into it is how have they protected prior to that, different looks we gave them before, how did they react? I'm always talking to the guys up top. And then, I might have a little list of, okay, if we get in this situation, let's go with that. And I'm usually trying to give the guys a heads up on the sideline. I don't always get a chance to do that because sometimes I just pull something out of the sky, and not literally. But I'll try to say, hey, look, I'm thinking about next time if we get in this situation of running this. I think that helps them ahead of time. It doesn't always work that way, but we were fortunate in this past game to have that happen.
What is like the biggest difference regular season playing against Josh and then, facing
Yeah.
trouble in the regular season, but postseason?
Well, I don't know. We're not banking on that. I know one thing. When we went up there to play them this past year, it felt like a playoff game. You know, I mean, I think both teams approached it that way, and we all know, I mean, we all talk about how the speed of the game goes up in these games. I mean, everybody's focus goes laser focus, and he is, I mean, he's a premier threat in this league. I mean, we all know that, right? Not just with his arm, but with his legs and how big he is. I mean, I'm amazed every time I put the tape on. I mean, I was shaking my head this morning talking to the guys going, how do you stop this guy? And I made one comment to one of the coaches. I said, now I know how other defenses feel that we play when they're going against Patrick, because they just do things that are uncanny and so talented.
When you look at Josh, there's not a lot of negative plays, not a lot of sacks, not a lot of
No.
difficulty in stopping a team. You have to be responsible.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to get those kind of plays to set things back, then to me, it's about not allowing the explosive plays. Like we had a couple of those last time we played them. And that kind of gets things going when you know it's going to be really tough to set them back. And listen, not coach speak, but it is going to come down to the situational football. We need to be better in third down. We need to win in red zone. We played good in red zone last week, and that made a big difference. And because they are going to move the football, we recognize that. I mean, they run the ball real well. They got an elite quarterback. So some of that, you're not going to stop everything. We're not going to shut somebody down. You need to slow them down and try to win those situational downs.
What are the defensive rules to just sort of maintain the soundness of the defense when the play breaks down and Josh Allen is just out there creating plays on it?
Yeah, I wish I had a secret to that. Listen, in the course of the game, the best thing that can happen for us is that all 11 function as 11. Because he's one of those guys, especially up front, if you're talking about the 4 or 5 guys that we bring, or they need to function as one, because he finds one little seam, and if we've got guys in man with their back turned, I mean, that's where I tell you, he's one of those guys, and you're well seen it, that he sees everything. I watched him this morning, a defensive play, I forget who they were playing, looked like they may have put their leg out to trip the running back, and he immediately was turning to the official like he saw everything. I mean, he's like Patrick, right? That their vision is uncanny, and so I think he can sense and feel when there's an opening there, and that's what gets really challenging.
Coach Bags, in Week 11, you didn't have. Sorry, go ahead. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You didn't have a minute here, Watson, in Week 11. You have them back now. What do they bring?
Jalen. Yeah, well, he gives us, listen, the one thing about Jalen, and we're glad we got him, but I mean, when you're 3 months removed, it's kind of, we had him for 2 weeks, he practiced, and I told him going into the game, the speed of the game is going to be, so we kind of slowed him in there. I don't know if you noticed, and so hopefully this week we get a little bit more out of him, but we've talked to all the DBs. We're going to need everybody. I mean, all hands on deck to try to win this football game, so all those guys will play. Yeah. Yeah.
What are the specific challenges of this opponent? Is it skills and
Well, I mean, one thing that, really for them, you go 3rd and 2 to, you could bring it all the way up to 6. There's still a chance they run the football. That's tremendously challenging for a defense when you got a quarterback that can do that. We know that they'll go for it on 4th down in certain situations. So we'd like to get them in to the point that we'd like to get them in those longer 3rd downs, but that's easier said than done with this football team. So when they're in those manageable 3rd downs from their standpoint, it becomes challenging, really because of the quarterback, in my opinion.
So really, Pete, Nate, and Matt, really quick.
Both Justin Reid and Nick Bolton pointed to eye candy yesterday. How much of an emphasis is that for you this week?
Yeah, from our standpoint, it's all about eye discipline. The eye candy is all the moving that they do. They're really good at it. I mean, you talk about, we're watching plays on tape and wondering how they practice it and get the timing down so well. But they've done a great job up there as coaches, and we just can't let our eyes get lost in all of, that's what Nick and Justin are talking about. So there's been a big emphasis on that this week.
Steve, what have you seen most from Charles Omenihu in terms of helping the rest of the unit improve, and how significant of a game is this?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get him into the past situations we're talking about. Now, Charles is in there on 1st and 2nd down as well, and I think he's playing the run really well, too, and we need that. I mean, we know what this team can do running the football. We talk a lot about the quarterback, but they've been running it really effective. But he gives us length, and he's a relentless pass rusher, and he's had, there's been at least 2 I can think of, where I mean, one of these days we'll come up with that ball when he knocks it out. But he's long and loves to rush the passer, so hopefully we can get in those situations to get him out there.
You obviously play a lot of nickel and formations, but it seems like there's been a lot more emphasis on the safeties with playing more Chamari, playing more Jaden.
Yeah.
What's been kind of the function of that? What do you like about that?
Well, both those guys you mentioned are real versatile. You know, you put B. Cook, Justin Reed, Jaden in there, Chamari, and even C. Rowe, you know, Chris Rowland Wallace. I mean, they're all really instinctive, natural football players. They can't all play at once. But, you know, if you've been around, we've been around together for a while. I mean, you know, we like the moving pieces and the different bodies. I think it makes it, or hopefully it does make it challenging for the quarterback when there's different jersey numbers out there. And as long as guys can go out there and produce and perform, we'll play as many as we can. We good? All right, thank you.
Job of taking away the run from Pat. You know, he had 0 rushes when it was all said and done. I mean, is that something unique that, you know, did they emphasize it more than maybe other teams had when they were able to eliminate his running?
They probably have a little bit. I think they do a good job of making sure that any of these quarterbacks that use their legs as a weapon, they have some techniques that they use to try to eliminate that. Pat has done a great job in his career of being able to do just that in big-time moments. And you know, Coach McDermott and his guys there, I think that's something that they really emphasize. So we're aware of that. We know that. And we got to pick and choose, and Pat does in particular, when he wants to use his legs. And then also I think he does a great job of keeping his eyes downfield.
When it comes to the running back position, going into a game, are you looking at like a hot hand type of thing where if one gets going, you'll stick with them, or is it still we want to have multiple backs and those looks?
There's probably a little bit of that. As you get going, I think that's probably real. I mean, it's a benefit that both of those guys, I mean, the thing that I love about both of those with Pacheco and Kareem is the fact that they are so competitive, both of them. But they both also understand that this element of the game is critical. So if a guy has a hot hand and has some great carries early on, maybe you stick with them, get the next guy in. The good part about that, too, is just, you know, conserving energy, letting a guy go out there that's 100% every time he's out there. So there's a nice balance to that.
Coach Nags, the benefit of –
go ahead.
It's been a few years, but you've game planned and called plays against Spagnuolo before. What's that experience like?
It's not easy, I can tell you that. And we get to go against him in training camp, and he presents a lot of different challenges. So schematically, you know, it's not easy. Like you just said, Adam, it's something where the Bills and Chiefs have been going against each other for a while. So player to player, coach to coach, there's a little bit of that. So the tendency part of it, you want to make sure that you're good with your tendencies. Unscouted looks, how do you handle that? And then when you get out there, too, it's controlling the emotions. Not just as players, but as coaches, too. You got to be able to control your emotions and just stay within the game and understand it's two really good football teams going at it.
Coach Nags,
Yeah.
benefit of having both the running backs and your full complement of receivers, that let you go a little deeper in the playbook?
Yeah, it does. And for us, the more weapons you have, it's not an easy balance, too, with all these players and whatever position it is. But I think Coach Reid does a really good job making sure he coaches the coaches to see what he wants. And then we as coaches got to be the conduit to the players and make them understand that there is one football. But when you're designing plays, when you're putting things in, you look back to where we started, where we were in the middle of the season to where we're at now. We feel really at full strength, and I think the guys have had really the last couple of weeks some really solid practices, and now it's the emotional side of keeping that in check too, and then just wait until game time.
Coach, when you look at Von Miller, you know, he's obviously been disruptive against the offensive line the last few times you all played him. How do you account for him this time around, knowing that this is the type of game that they brought him in for?
For sure. He's a hell of a player that just his motor's going nonstop all the time. This year he's playing really fast. He's productive. You saw what he did last week. You know, we've been seeing him from back in Denver, and we know who he is. And these are the type of games where you want to take those type of players and prevent them from making game-changing plays. There's going to be some plays that are made on their end, we know that, but don't make it that game-changing play. So we want to be solid there, but he's a heck of a player.
Coach, the Bills have the best turnover ratio in the league. They force a lot, they don't turn the ball very much. On your side of it, what do they do well to force turnovers?
Well, I think it's a mentality from them, just the mentality of seeing that they're attacking the football. They're a little bit of a bend but don't break, which prevents or it makes more plays for the offense, which now is more opportunities for a fumble, an interception, et cetera. So they preach that, they teach that. We preach it and teach it on offense to make sure, and I think we've done a pretty good job this year of protecting the football, and that's helped us play some complementary football. So that's the beauty of why both teams, I think, are where we're at right now. We find ways to win. You protect the football. And then most importantly, more than anything, is make sure that when the time is there to make a play, that you're the one that wants the ball to make the play. So protect it, but then when it's time to make a play, make the play.
Against Houston, DeAndre Hopkins' snaps were a little bit lower. Lineup, was it just load management?
No, that wasn't intentional. So, last week was a little bit of a strange game, series-wise, play-wise, rhythm-wise. Nothing's intentional. DeAndre's been phenomenal this whole time. You know, we know what he can bring and what he does bring to us. None of that was intentional.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Josh Allen is going to get sacked a lot. You guys didn't get to him last time. What makes him so difficult to sack?
We didn't get there. His elusiveness to avoid rushers, get out of the pocket. Offensive line is playing really, really good. We got to challenge ourselves to be effective in the passing game, especially the front four.
There wasn't a lot, well, there hasn't been a lot of talk about James Cook, but what problems does he potentially bring to this defense? Last game, he only had 20 yards against you all, but it seems that since that game, he's been picking up a lot of steam lately. So what type of problems can he bring towards the defense?
I think this number is correct. The last two games, total rushing yards has been 354, if I'm correct. So they've been running the ball effective the past two games. So I think he's going to be a vital part of their success in coming in here. So we definitely got to be able to stop the run if we have any type of chance of competing in this game.
Since he got here, you've been very, very high on Joe Cullen, and last game, 8 sacks, kind of coming from everywhere. Just what makes him so good at developing young players into contributors?
I mean, being able to be patient with young players, let them grow, let them be able to make mistakes, also getting the best out of each individual in the room.
Chris, how much does, when you have a running quarterback, whether it's Josh or anybody, how much does that maybe slow the pass rush? Because you got to be worried about him escaping and taking off. He's beat you guys a number of times with his legs. Does that slow up you guys, trying to get to him just in a pure pass rush sense?
In a sense, but as long as we're rushing him discipline, and I think we can affect him. We just got to be on the umbrella of a discipline.
Having a few years with Charles now, Chris, what can you pinpoint as to why he plays some of his best football in the postseason?
Well, Charles has been a vital part for us, especially in the pass rush. I think that's what we brought him here for. He's been able to broadcast that on later stages, getting in his groove. I think he missed a couple games, missed a lot of games this year due to injury, and last year he ended up missing 4 to 6 games. So being able to have Charles at his peak during this time of the year is vital for us. I think we can stride off of that, and he played really, really good football in the postseason.
Last one, Rob.
That was us.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
sense playing with both guys that there was anything where maybe they would get an additional call here or there as opposed to potentially other?
No, I let the refs take care of the officiating and kind of just focus on what I'm doing, and but I haven't really noticed that. So what was your first reaction when they talked to you about left tackle? Yeah, different position, just kind of just taking it a day at a time and trying to do the best I can, and prepare as well as I can, and the coaches, teammates, everyone's been so supportive. So I'm just trying to stay on track and just keep getting better day by day.
So whether you're left tackle or left guard, you're probably going to be facing Von Miller. What type of competition do you see when you're not against him?
Yeah, I mean, he's been an elite player for a long, long time, and he's that doesn't seem to be stopping at all, and he just does so many things well. Such a smart player, so fast, so strong. So just a great combination for a defensive lineman, and it's a team effort though, and going to take all 11 on offense.
Joe, what is the defensive lineman like Ed Oliver present challenge-wise?
Yeah, he plays so hard. He's a very physical player, strong, quick, knows the game really well. The whole defense is very, everyone's so disciplined, and everyone seems to be, where they're supposed to be at all times. And but yeah, he's really good in the run and pass, and so yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Your switch to left tackle, I guess an underrated part is Mike's job. How have you seen him really take on that as defense out there?
Yeah, I mean, year after year, he's just always preparing, always doing the most he can. He's in the playbook, nonstop, always working. So it's been great to see him excel, and he's been doing a great job, and he's always been ready, and so yeah, it's been really happy for him.
How hard is it to sit like in the end of the texting or in the texting game in the middle, end of the first half, they had the ball, and then they had it for every. How hard is it for you guys to be off the field for that long and then try to turn it back on and go out there?
Yeah, trying to stay loose. You're not sure when you're going to go back on the field. Third downs or turnovers or anything, but just trying to stay loose. Always just locked into the game, and but just always trying to stay ready to go, whatever happens in the game.
Joe, there's a clip of that circulating online of a block that you and Travis sort of worked on late in the game for Kareem to sort of slither through. It looked like Travis screamed something at you. Just what worked from your perspective on that play, and what were you and Travis saying to one another?
Yeah, Trav, I think I know which one you're talking about. Trav's a great blocker, and anytime, you can work with a tight end who's, all our tight ends are great blockers and eager to block, and, just trying to, make a hole for Kareem, and, he's really good at finding them any space at all, and, we're both from Ohio, so probably something Ohio related or something, but thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.